And assuming that you are getting thank yous from all over the country, from people in this stupid year, thanking you for reminding us what women's college basketball is supposed to look like in March, you must be getting lots of those thank yous.
Well, I don't know if it looked exactly like March basketball, Monday night, March 1st. But
you know what I mean. You guys.
It's that time of the year when you hope that you've done a pretty good job of getting your team ready and getting them in the right frame of mind to play it. But you just don't know. For a lot of these kids, it's going to be their first time in this situation in March. So, it's kind of we've always taken it as it's kind of a new season. It's a chance to, play some more basketball, play 3 games in 3 days, and try to win a tournament championship. But again, you have to go out and you have to do it.
One sec. Sorry. I think Len was up next.
Hey, Geno, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for asking. I'm sorry if you've probably faced this question before, but considering how young this team is and what it's accomplished, has this been one of the most fun years, one of the most frustrating years, all the above?
Yeah, there's been a lot of all the above this year. There's been a lot of interesting developments. A lot of times when you're watching a basketball team play, what you see is not necessarily a reflection of what goes into putting something like that together. So with a lot of young players, it's been frustrating, unlike any other year I've had in a while. Watching them get better has been, incredibly rewarding. Watching our freshmen, evolve into being able to win a championship has been, gratifying and been great for them. And I just hope that, they get a chance to show it again over the next couple of days.
If I can just follow that, was there a point in the season when you knew or had a strong suspicion that this could be a special group? Or are you still waiting on that?
Yeah, I don't. I got to be honest with you. I mean, I think from a off the court perspective, since August, when they first got here, I think in what they've done off the court and how they handled all the things that have happened, it's been a pretty incredible group. They've been they've really been amazing to work with as far as that's concerned. The on the court stuff has been a little more, let's say, challenging. It's I think we've had great moments. I think we've done some really neat things during the season at times, and there's times when we've played, really, really well for long stretches. But I can't think back to any one time and think, that's about as well as we can play basketball. I don't think that time has arrived yet.
Thank you.
Hi, no, how are you?
Hey, we're gonna go to Dave.
Oh, hi, Geno. I'm sorry. This is Dave Briggs with the Toledo Blade, actually. Just had a quick question. It's a little off topic. Doing a column on 30-year anniversary of Toledo's first NCAA tournament, which is also big for you guys. Just because of the early momentum that's so important in building a program, let's say Toledo had won that game. Would UConn basketball look different today?
Somebody asked me that recently. That November, we had just signed Rebecca Lobo, who was the number one player in the country that year coming out of high school. And I thought, okay, well, I think we can, and we had signed a really good guard, Pam Weber. So I thought, we've got two building blocks going forward. Plus we have some really good players coming back. But we had lost twice in the NCAA tournament. And both times, kind of weird. The second time, actually, against Clemson, we had a shot about hit the net through the rim and come back out at the buzzer for us to lose, a heartbreaker. So that Toledo game, had we not won that game, could it have happened? Who's to say? But I do know that winning that game and then going down to Philadelphia in regionals for the very first time, and beat, and having to beat the teams that we ended up beating, both NC State and Clemson. That, getting to the Final Four so early in our program, that kind of set things in motion for the next couple of years, for sure.
Thanks.
Kieran.
Hi, Geno. Kieran Darcy from Fox Sports. Just had a question on Paige in particular. You've obviously had so many great players over the years. Is there anything that stands out about her, makes her unique? And obviously these are unique circumstances this season. Anything that makes her different and unique in your mind?
I don't think I've ever had, two players that were exactly alike. I don't think I've ever had two National Players of the Year that were exactly alike, or two, Naismith winners that were exactly alike, or two Olympians that were exactly alike. They're all different. They all have their own, characteristics that make them who they are. Paige just happens to be right now for this team because she has the right temperament and the right skill level to help make our team better. If Paige had a different mindset, if she had a different temperament and still had all the skills that she has, it may not work, but because, she has the skills you need to be a really good player. And she has the temperament to handle all the things that she needs to handle for our team. And she has enough composure to deal with all the off the court stuff that's out there these days. So in that respect, she's different because she has to deal with and handle things that didn't exist, when some of our other, freshmen came through here that ended up having amazing success.
Dan Connolly.
Geno, after the last game, you talked about how difficult it's going to be going into the bubbles and dealing with that mentally for both these tournaments. Is there any way at all that you can prepare for that, or you can help the team prepare for that? Or is it just once you get in there, you have to figure it out as you go?
Yeah, I don't think there's any way that you can prepare them or prepare yourself, because it's just a different situation. But they've been in somewhat of a bubble since they got here. You know, ever since they got to campus, they've been kind of confined to an area. You know, they go to practice, they go back to their apartments. You know, maybe they'll go out and pick up some food, come back, go buy some groceries. So they've been in some form of a bubble all this time. This is going to be a little more intense, a little more concentrated. You're not in your apartment, you're in a hotel room. And you're, you know, confined to a floor. You know, listen, everyone's had their struggles with this around the world. So there's no whining, there's no complaining. It's just a lot. It's a lot to sacrifice just to play basketball. Let's put it that way. It's a huge sacrifice just to play basketball.
Carl?
Geno, two-part question. First, any indication, any idea if you'll have Anna available for the weekend? And second, will you talk to Paige at all before the tournament? Because sometimes when you're the player of the year, you feel like you have to live up to it and do too much. So will you talk to her about that and just, you know, have her, you know, play the way she normally does?
We are going to have Anna available. I don't know for how long per game, but we will have her available. There will be, you know, an opportunity to play her some minutes. How much? You know, I don't know. I'm hoping that it's, you know, 10 minutes, whatever the case may be, just enough to get her feet, you know, wet again. As far as Paige is concerned, I don't know. I really haven't said anything to her since, you know, since she found out about this award. You know, basically, I'm just going to remind her that, you know, she just needs to help our team win, whatever that entails. You know, whatever that is. You know, I'm not going to tell her she has to prove she's a player of the year. I'm not going to have to tell her she has to live up to some outside expectations or she's got to do, you know, superhuman stuff. Just going to remind her that, you know, when it's all said and done, you just got to help us figure out how to win this game. And then say it again for the next game and hopefully the next game and leave it at that, you know, stick to the, you know, the immediate moment and not get into anything else.
Michelle?
Yeah, Coach Auriemma, if I could, I had two pretty different questions for you. The first is on Paige, and it is hypothetical. But when you look back on some of your greatest players, do you think if they'd been in a similar situation to her without seniors and with so much on them, would they have handled this the same way she has? And then the second question is, are you concerned with the mask mandate being lifted in Texas and what impact that might have on the NCAA tournament?
Yeah. As far as the other players, you don't know because they were never in that situation as freshmen. I don't think there's been a time since I've been here that a freshman's had to be in that position. So I don't know how they would have handled it. It's hard to say. You know, she's been given a unique opportunity and she's taken advantage of it. I'm sure, and a lot of it has to do with what position you play as well. So maybe some of the great guards that we've had come through here, could have done something like this had they been given that opportunity. We'll never know. Like I said, the best I can make an analogy to is Diana's junior year when, we had a lot of young players and, and Dee had 2 years of college basketball behind her. So that was different. The mask thing, hey, look, we live up here in the Northeast where we've done things a certain way. The fact that this whole pandemic thing has been one giant political fiasco. I guess I'm not surprised. I don't know what that does as far as the NCAA tournament is concerned. I don't know that we'll be interacting with anybody that's not part of the NCAA basketball community. So I'd probably be much more concerned if, if we had to interact with the general public, but we don't. We don't. And I'm sure every precaution will be taken to make sure that our athletes and coaches and staff and administrators are safe. But it does kind of reinforce this, this notion that everyone already has that this has been one giant cluster. And depending on where you live, you get the benefit of it. And depending on where you live, you get the other side of it. So I'm just glad I live where I live.
Thank
you. Mm-hmm.
Doug.
Hey, Geno, you've discussed kind of Paige, obviously, and how much she's had to carry. And, lately, obviously, you have gotten more contributions as far as scoring wise from other players. How important is that continues? And, how much are you expecting Paige to shoulder, moving forward, since she's already done so much?
Well, I hope it just continues the way it's been. I don't want to see a scenario where, you say, well, listen, if Paige doesn't get 30, we can't win. I certainly don't want that. And I don't want anybody to think that. I don't want anybody on our team to think that. I want Aaliyah Edwards to keep doing exactly what Aaliyah is doing. I want Liv to keep doing exactly what Liv is doing. I want, all of our players, to feel like I just need to make my contribution, whatever that is. Whatever my contribution has been all year long, that's what I want to do. And if anybody tries to be a little bit different and do more than that, I don't think that's going to work. And if anybody does less than that, I don't think that's going to work either. So if everybody can just be what they've been for the last 4 or 5 months, we'll be okay.
Thanks.
Alexa.
Hey, Geno. We've talked a lot about how Aaliyah is such a tough physical player, but she's also off the court, pretty kind of unassuming, chill, soft-spoken, has kind of this soft side to her. I'm just kind of curious how you've seen her now that she's actually been in the program for the last 8 months, kind of, just demonstrate both those sides to herself, and how, if it's kind of surprising at all, like knowing who she is as a person, that she goes on the court and it's just this really tough presence out there.
No, I encourage our players to have multiple personalities. I don't think you can be the same on the court as you are off the court. I just don't think that works. When you're on the court, you're in a 40-minute game. You're in an environment that's tense and that's highly competitive and emotional, and that can't be the way you live your life every minute of every day. So the way the way Aaliyah is off the court, I think if she was like that on the court, that wouldn't work either. So I'm glad that she's two different personalities. I think that's what you need in sports. The part about being surprised, no. I mean, when we started recruiting Aaliyah back, I forget when, the first thing that struck me was how aggressive and how competitive and how intensely she played the game. That was evident from the very first possession I saw her play. And then when I got to talk to her, I was, introduced to a different side. And that's kind of what I've come to expect, that, Aaliyah is soft-spoken, easygoing, more introverted kind of kid. She's a thinker. And when she gets out on the floor, she's none of those things, which is good. Which is exactly what allows her to be as good as she is.
Frankie.
Hey, I was just going to ask you that what Alexa just asked you, only with regard to Paige. You're talking about her temperament. Like we've seen her come on here, giggling with Nika, being silly, but then when she goes out onto the court, it's like she knows what she has to do. Is that unique among like some of the great players like that you've had, for her to be like so silly and fresh, a freshman, and then to be able to play so well?
I mean, not everybody has to live to their personality. And Paige, we sometimes watch Paige play and we think that that's all there is to her, and she should be like that all the time. Paige is serious about her basketball, and she's serious about her academics, and she's serious about life. And she also is a young kid in college for the first time who was trying to have the time of her life and have some fun, which is pretty healthy. It's pretty normal. We've had some kids come through here that we're all business all the time. You know, we've had some kids play here that whenever I heard that, you know, the media wanted to talk to them, I would say, why? Why do you want to talk to those guys? Like, they're not exactly, you know, media, you know, soundbite people. They're not going to give you anything that you're going to write home about. So everybody's got to be what they've got to be. And, you know, we've had all kinds here. We've had kids that were, you know, funny, insightful, you know, thoughtful, you know, really bright, sarcastic. We've had some kids that didn't want to meet the media. We've had some kids that when they're told after the game that they didn't, you know, the media didn't request them, they, you know, jump up and down and celebrate like Christmas. Like, I don't, you know, and you would think just the opposite. Oh, I can't wait to get, you know, in front of the media. And then we've had kids that enjoy it, have a great time with it. So you've had a little bit of everything, and you got to be who you are. You got to be true to your personality. And I think Paige, for the most part, is true to her personality.
Frankie?
Hi, Coach. It's Frankie from Connecticut Public Radio. Forgive me about asking for a player that's not yet with the program, but not only do you have Paige having such a tremendous freshman year, but I saw the other day that AZ Fudd's already on the cover of a magazine. So, I mean, what can you tell me about having her coming into the fold soon enough, obviously after the season?
Well, I'm just glad she's coming to save our program because we're in dire straits. You know, I read some of the articles written about her. You know, there's this perception out there that, you know, once AZ Fudd gets to Connecticut, you know, the whole world will stop and everybody will not want to play basketball anymore because, you know, we'll have AZ and Paige on the same team. You know, it's just the world that we live in. The world that we live in is, you know, and I'm sure AZ was probably mortified at that article. It's the world that we live in. The latest is the greatest. You know, like these are the two, like this is the first time these two players of this caliber have ever played at UConn together. You know, so whenever I read about, you know, somebody saying, is the greatest player to graduate from high school in generations. Really? I think AZ would feel embarrassed reading that. You know, just like Paige was embarrassed last year about, I'm coming to save the program at UConn. You know, some of the stuff that's said about these kids before they accomplish anything is just, I feel bad for them. I really do. I mean, and she's one of the nicest kids I've ever met. And she's one of the best, you know, high school basketball players I've ever been around. And her parents are amazing parents. So for people to, you know, put that on her at this stage of her life, one, it shows they don't know anything about basketball. They don't know what they're talking about. They're just creating a hype, you know? So,
do you have any idea how the two might complement each other once they finally do get on the court together? You were talking about skill and temperament earlier with Paige.
How they might complement each other? Yeah, when they're open, they're going to pass it to each other. And when they're not, they're not. So when AZ's open, Paige is going to pass it to her. And AZ's going to shoot it. And then I'm sure they'll compliment each other by going, hey, I think you're great. No, I think you're great. Hey, isn't it great we're here and we're saving the program? I mean, you know, I've coached 10 Olympians. And you don't know how they're going to compliment each other until they get here and they start playing together. So I have no idea. I really don't.
We're going to go to Danica and then Lori. And we don't have time for any more hands. So after that, Charlotte, Roger, then we're done. So Danica.
Hi, Geno. Thank you so much for speaking with us today. I'm actually from Canada, Toronto, and I am asking about Aaliyah as she is a native to the North.
Yeah.
And it's just a beautiful time because it's March Madness and it's also Women's Month. And I wanted to ask you, just over your time being her coach, what growth have you seen her had on the court and off the court as not just a woman, but as a leader, on the team? What has that been like for you to witness? And just what do you think it has been for both on the court and off the court, her growth in womanhood and her growth as a leader and an individual on your team?
Well, those are pretty difficult questions when, I don't know that a high school kid leaves high school, goes to college, spends 6 months in college, and is well into womanhood or well into adulthood. She's a kid, just like all the other freshmen are. So she's trying to figure out how to get good grades in school. She's trying to figure out how to deal with this whole pandemic stuff. She's trying to figure out, how do I help my teammates? How do I become a better teammate? She hasn't had time to change the world yet. Maybe that's going to come down the road. But, right now, Aaliyah has come here and been everything and more of what I expected her to be. I didn't expect her to come here as a freshman and, become a 28-year-old, and become a symbol for anything other than I expected her to come here and work hard, which she has, play hard, which she does, be a great teammate, which she certainly is, interact tremendously with everybody around her. So, ask me a year from now or 2 years from now, and I'll be better able to comment on her growth, as a woman. Right now, I just see her as a student at the University of Connecticut who's trying to work hard in school, and a young basketball player who's trying to become a better basketball player.
We'll go to Lori and then Charlotte.
Hey, Geno. I have two questions for you. One, sort of piggybacking off Michelle's question. What do you think your medical staff will, make you guys do any different protocol now at the NCAA tournament because of the whole mask mandate thing? And my second question is, this is your 30th anniversary of the Final Four in '91, and I'm just wondering what your best memory was from that team.
I'm sure when we get down to Texas, they'll have everything in place that we need, and they'll have all the protocols. So whatever those are the protocols that we'll be following. I don't think our medical staff will have anything more than that, and I don't think they'll have anything less than that. So when we get to our hotel, we will do exactly what they tell us to do, and we'll do it how they tell us to do it, when we're supposed to do it, and we'll follow every single protocol that's in place. So you got to trust that, they're going to respond to what's going on down there. Like I said, I don't anticipate having any contact whatsoever with anyone in the general public. So everyone that we're going to come in contact with, whether it's hotel workers or staff or anybody involved, will be part of our testing program. And so that's the best we can do. That's all we can do. As far as what I remember the most 30 years ago. First of all, I can't believe it's been 30 years. Wow. It just hard to fathom that it's been 30 years. But I remember that team having just a blast. Everything for them was fun. You know, everything for them was this brand new experience that was so cool. You know, getting on a bus and driving to Philadelphia for the regionals was like the greatest thing that ever happened. You know, going out to dinner, oh my God. Having media people that actually wanted to ask them a question. You know, being on television for the very first time, you know, when we played Clemson to go to the Final Four, first time on national television. You know, everything for those kids was like a dream come true. Like, who would ever thought, you know, that we went to Connecticut and we're getting a chance to do all this. And same thing when we got to New Orleans. Everything was like a little kid going on their first trip with their family. That's what it felt like. Everything was fun. Everything was new and exciting. And I let it just evolve into whatever it wanted it to be. Until halftime of the Virginia game, when I was pissed, I said, damn, I should have made them take this more seriously. So the next time we went to the Final Four, I got it right.
Charlotte?
Just to follow up on the postseason challenges of the mental side, I guess, how are you approaching the on-the-court stuff a little bit differently with such a young group this season for the first time in a while?
Well, really young players can go into a tournament one of two ways. They can go in not even knowing what's at stake. They can go in just, hey, yeah, we got 3 games this weekend. Let's go. How are they any different than the 3 games we just played last week? And, you know, ignorance is bliss, right? They have no idea. So they could go in and just go, let's just play. Why should it be any different than anything else? Or it could dawn on them that, oh my God, now you're in a one and done situation. If we lose, we're out. And hit the panic button. So you never know with a young team. So you just try to, you know, be honest with them and lay it out there for them. This is what's going to happen. This is what we're going to do. This is what we did all year. This is how we got here. And we're going to have the same scouting reports, same film sessions. Everything's the same. We keep doing the same thing, you know, to try to keep it as consistent as possible. But I'm sure when our first game comes on Saturday, it may take some time for us to settle into the game. I wouldn't be surprised if that were to happen. Either trying too hard or being too nervous or wanting to win so bad. You know, at that point, there's not much you can do about it.
And we'll finish up for Coach with Roger.
Geno, rightfully so, a lot's been made out of what Paige has done and Aaliyah's done this year, but can you just talk about the steps forward that Olivia has taken and how solid she's become for this team right now?
Yeah, I think Olivia has become incredibly solid and consistent. You know, actually, you know, because we got too many awards, I think Olivia should have been on the first team. I mean, you know, when you look at her, her production, you look at what she's done all year long, you would say, wow. There's 9 other players in the league that had a better year than she did and contributed more to, to a team as good as ours. So, yeah, I thought she deserved to be on the first team. And I think she's been incredibly consistent in her effort, and consistent in her approach. And she's a big part of what we're going to do going forward. A big part. I'm convinced we would not have won that game Monday night if it wasn't for Liv and Aaliyah. And Liv kind of set the tone, for long stretches of the game, in the second half especially. So, we can talk all we want about, how everyone else does this, and that. But the bottom line is, we need Liv to be like really, really, really good. And if she is, we're going to be really, really hard to beat.